welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, he's Yinka Yusuf.
Good evening, people.
And I'm Akande K. Yinka,
Bro.
Yinka. What
Yes,
is going
boss.
on? What is going on? How are you?
A day. I'm very good. You?
Okay. I'm good. We have a lot going on this week, but
So,
we're committed to doing this, so we have to show up. And that's
yeah,
what we're
we
doing.
have to show up, and that's what we do.
That's what
So, advanced warning: if this is shorter than the usual, there's a reason for that.
And my advanced warning to your advanced warning, it's not going to be shorter than the usual. Because we always say this, and then someone catches the spirit on one topic and just goes off.
And we just go off tangents.
Before we know it, we thought we had time, and now we no longer have time. All right, so some context. I've been traveling. Got back last night. Traveling again tomorrow morning. We're recording on Sunday night in Nigeria, Sunday evening in the US. But we have this short window, or we're not gonna have an episode this week. But so here we are. We have a ton going on, as well. Yeah. So thank you for making the time. But we're here.
We're here.
Okay. So having said that, we're gonna change things around a little bit this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're actually going to do the football last, because there was big news in the world of boxing last night.
Yep.
Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Joshua fought in front of 96,000 people at Wembley against Daniel Dubois.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't we just let Yinka take this take this away, and then I'll come back and give my thoughts.
No, so it's funny when you said he fought. I said he was beaten in front of 96,000 people.
Ouch. Okay, so we're gonna disagree a lot about this. So go on.
Anyway, so he lost. He went down like 4 or 5 times. Yeah. Which was a bit surprising. Now, full disclosure, I love Anthony Joshua, right? I like him as a person. He's a nice guy. He's humble. All the works. He's Nigerian, so I don't want to make it seem as if I'm bashing him, right? But all along, I've never really fancied him as a boxer. Hear me out.
Wow.
Yeah. So see, boxing is 3 things. It's your offense, your defense, and your heart. Yeah. Offense, you can break it down into punching power, punching skill, and footwork. The only thing going for Anthony Joshua offensively is punching power. In terms of footwork and punching skill, it's not that, it's the punching power that is elite. Every other one in that regard, not really, right? In terms of heart, give it to him. The boy has heart. When he stumbles, he comes back up. His mentality, his focused, everything. I give that to him. Yeah. Defensive. Defensive. When you talk about defense in boxing, you're talking about, once again, footwork, chin. For those that know boxing, chin is how well you can absorb punches, right? It's footwork, chin, evasion, and block, right? Blocking, not a strong suit. Evasion, not a strong suit. Chin, absolutely not a strong suit. Footwork, once again, not really his strongest suit. So from a boxing profile, the only thing he has going for him is his reach, because he's tall, and his punching power. Yeah? So that's why when he gets into battles with proper people that are, if he's going into battle with sluggers, it depends on who hits who first. Yeah? And he goes into boxing with proper people. Yeah? He struggles a bit. And maybe age is not also on his side anymore. So I wasn't too surprised yesterday with the bout at all, right? Like I told you, his chin is very, very low. It's very, very poor. He gets rattled easily with the slightest punches. Yeah? But yeah, a lot of people are saying he should retire. I'm like, hell no. Fight till you can't fight no more. George Foreman fought it was 50 or whatever. Yeah, as long as you're gonna get bread, keep on fighting. You're not guarding any records anymore, are you? So just go ahead. No need to retire. Punch all the way. But I wasn't too shocked about yesterday's performance, frankly. Akin.
I'm shocked at your take. Let me put it this way. So number one, boxing is for me, boxing is the ultimate sport. I think I've said that before. We said that on our very first episode. I think boxing was my first love. I think I said that as well before. I don't like where boxing has gotten to. I don't like the state of boxing.
Yeah.
But absolutely my first love, 1984 Olympics, amateur boxing, Jerry Okorodudu, all those guys, right? Ali, Hagler, Herman, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
There are no great boxers left in the heavyweight division. I think it's fair to say that.
No, yeah, absolutely spot on. It's not a matter of being fair or everything. They're not.
The fact that Tyson Fury is considered a great bothers me. It's offensive to me.
He's not a great Aki.
He will beat anyone right now. If he's in decent shape, he will beat up on anyone. No one can really beat him. That's the reality of it. That's what
Yeah.
When I think about, I think the last great in boxing was Lennox Lewis. Maybe the Klitschko brothers. Maybe. For me, those are the last greats. Wilder has been judged kind of a fraud. But before I get too deep, this is what I'm struggling with, right?
Okay.
Why is boxing the ultimate sport? You are defenseless. It's literally you against the other person.
Yeah.
And defense means you're getting your head bashed in. You know what I mean? So like you can say, there are other individual sports like tennis, which we both love. But the ball is not hitting your head as you're trying to play defense. In tennis, you know, you still have the racket between you and the other person. In boxing, your head is the defense. You know what I'm saying? Like your brain is getting fried potentially. You could die potentially. So it's hard for me when someone has a quote unquote bad game to really go at them. I was very disappointed at some of the chat that I saw yesterday. And I'm like, these are people who have never done anything, achieved anything in their life. Beating up on this guy for having the guts to come out. And he had a bad first round, right? Again, I'm conflicted because this guy's Nigerian. I love him. I can't even be completely objective about him. But I felt this way when Wilder had a bad fight as well. So it's not just the Nigerianness for me.
You like Wilder?
I like people who show guts. I like people who show up. I like people. Like my boxing analysis will never be the same as my football analysis or my tennis analysis because people are literally putting their life on the line. And if you can show up and you don't quit and you don't take a knee and you get up, you're fine in my book. Wilder was heavily overmatched in that one fight that we all saw, right? It was overmatched, but he never gave up. It was wobbly. He never gave. So for me, look, it's not. You want me to get technical? Yes. It doesn't have it's not Lennox Lewis. It's not. You see it. It's not the sweet science, right? But it's also not his fault that people can't box anymore, that people can't fight anymore, right? He showed up. He kept showing up. But I don't want to go off on a tangent. Back to AJ. So yesterday, he got hit in the first round. It was like, in football, you consider goal in the first 90 seconds. What do you do? And what's the famous Mike Tyson quote? Everyone has a plan until you get hit.
Yeah.
Right? Until you get punched in the mouth. So there was something, I watched a lot of the post-game coverage. So I was on a flight while the match was going on. So I didn't see it in real time. But I had 5 hours on the plane. So I watched after on the plane. And I watched a lot of the post game, maybe too much of the post game. There's a couple ways I can go with it. So one is I saw something I never thought I saw. Two rounds of applause when AJ came into the press room. I was conflicted about that. I'm like, you're the press, you should be objective. But I also understand they're thinking about what it did for British boxing.
Yeah.
Right? Putting them back on the map.
Yep.
Not since Frank Bruno has anyone really talked about British boxing until this guy came along. They also understand everything you've said, which you are not wrong, Yinka. I just would not engage in that analysis. You're not wrong. But I just can't do it. I disagree because I can't do what you're doing. I cannot be objective. So they're seeing what you saw, which is, okay, with the talent he has, he's already won. He's already overachieved. You know what I mean? But I think what they really were applauding was the fact that on the day when he didn't have it, and I think his agent said it the best. I forget his name, whatever his name is. He said while his legs were gone, he kept showing up. And he could have won. That's the crazy part of boxing. He could have won. He got knocked out while he was having his best spell of the game. I wrote a few things down, right? You said some of it, so I won't go into it. We already said he packed Wembley, 96,000 people. He got dropped in the first round. He got dropped, I think, 3 more times after that. I'm not going to count the slips that the referee was very kind to him, right?
Yeah.
There were 2 times that it was down that was counted as slips. You know what I mean? I don't think it was a slip. I think it was down. There was one that it did get elbowed down.
It did get elbowed, so, yeah.
Yeah, so, but the reality was his legs were wobbly after that first knockdown. That's the reality of it, right? He was having, I wrote down that he was having a very rare good spell. Very rare when he got caught by that right. So it hit Dubois in the tummy. Dubois got rocked. So even in the 5th round, without legs, it still packed a punch. You know? And then he was beginning to feel himself. Got that body shot, and then was going for... Yes. And then so this was, I've never seen a fight like this where for everything AJ threw to the guy's face, instantly there was a response to AJ's face. Never seen anything like it. So you can say it was him not defending himself, but he was never going to win on points. And what he told his agent was, I'm not going to be out. What's the word? I think he said, I'm going to go down swinging. I'm going to go down on my shield, was what he said. He went down. It went out on his shield last night. You know what I mean? So as he was trying to hit, it didn't connect, and then he got hit. And this time there was no coming back. He tried, and there was no coming back. The count, maybe if the count was 15, it would have come up, but it couldn't do it. And frankly, the referee did the right thing. And so my final analysis is, it is hard for me to analyze boxing like tennis, because boxing is not tennis.
I can. I
know.
I'm very objective.
You don't care. Yeah, you don't care about humans. I care about humans. I'm just kidding. So for me, it was just like, how many people, all the people chattering on Twitter, if you got hit with one punch, what do you do? You know? And then, there's been a theme. It's just been coming to me. I've been talking to friends about parenting and stuff like that. And you might think this is too soft or whatever, but I love the fact that for both boxers, their dads were very involved. You know, AJ's dad was straight into the ring. And
came to dab him and said, young man, it's fine. It's not the end of the world.
And I love that display. You and I are both parents. You have 3 boys. I have a boy and a girl. That bond, I loved it. Dubois, in his 10-minute press conference, mentioned his dad and God and his family like 18 times, and how no one else believed him. So I love that part of it. But we've talked 10 minutes about this, Yinka, and we haven't actually given Dubois his props, because what really happened was everyone would talk about his offense. And his offense was ridiculous. He just kept coming. He just kept coming. But his defense was also crazy, Yinka, because I think against the average boxer, AJ could have made history yesterday. Knock someone out without legs. Because he didn't have his legs. But this man would not even let him come close. So this was a guy who was fighting like a maniac on offense and defense at the same time. That's the real story for me. People will make it about AJ, but it was all about Dubois. I would venture to say Dubois may never have a fight like this again in his life. He may never fight this well in his life. But if he did, if he shows up like this again, he will beat everyone that is fighting today in the heavyweight category that we know about.
Fair
if
point.
He goes into if he fights Usyk like this, it will beat him black and blue. If Tyson Fury makes the mistake of coming into the ring against this guy and this guy fights like this, it will flatten him completely. So that's my take.
Yeah, fair point. So, but like we said, we're gonna make this fast. So, good luck to AJ. Good luck to Dubois. Two young British guys. All the best. I understand there's a rematch clause, so I'm not sure if AJ will take it. If it does, good luck. I want him to take it. Get your bag as much as you can. You're not young anymore. You're 34. Dubois is 27. There's a 7-year gap, 27. Right?
Yeah.
So AJ, get your bag as much as you can, and Dubois, good luck to you too. I mean, thumbs up to the two of them.
There's an underlying thing here. This thing was at Wembley, 96,000 people at Wembley, but it was put up by Saudi, right? So there's a lot of controversy about oil money, Middle Eastern money, Saudi money in different sports.
Yeah.
This is the one singular sport where without their money, the sport would have been dead. Heavyweight boxing would have been dead. So we can be purists and talk about the infiltration of Saudi and all that, but they've made AJ so much money. They've saved the sport. They've delivered the sport from Don King, which is almost as important than anything else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, you know where I stand on Middle Eastern and oil money in sports in general. On this one, without Saudi, it would have been game over.
Game would have been over
for heavyweight boxing. It might still be game over at this point, but without Saudi, it would have been.
Yeah.
All right. In the spirit of moving ahead quickly, Yinka, something sad happened this past week.
Yep.
Okay. Toto Schillaci passed. For those who don't know, this guy was the unexpected star of Italia 90. For many people our age who are not crazy like us, that was their real first World Cup. For you and I, it was 1986. But for more normal people our age, it would have been 1990.
It was
when we were 10, 11.
Yeah.
This man scored a total of 7 goals for Italy. But he scored 6 of those goals at the World Cup. One World Cup.
One World Cup.
Came out of nowhere, came in as a substitute, and never went back out. And
nobody knew Toto Schillaci before the tournament. I didn't know him.
Nobody.
Right?
Nobody.
And subsequently, he became a household name in the whole world. Yeah? He came in for, was it Andre? It was Cannavali, right? Cannavali.
It may have been.
I think it was Cannavali came in for, right, as a substitute, and he stole the tournament. He was the highest goal scorer. He won the golden ball.
I'm not sure. He may have. I'm not sure.
I can double check that.
Italy were hosting and they came third, right?
They came third.
They beat England in the third place.
In the third place, yeah. But yeah, he was Filippo Inzaghi before Inzaghi. Not necessarily skillful. Not necessarily skillful, but it was pacey. All he cared about was putting the ball in the back of the net. He will stay on that offside line and, torment defenders all day. So he died a couple of days ago, age
59.
59. God bless his soul.
Really sad.
That's a footballing great. Although his limelight was for a very short period, but it was really, really impactful. I remember we then get onto the field after the World Cup. I'm Toto Schillaci.
Everybody wanted to be
Toto Schillaci. Anyway.
Sad. It was really sad. It was very, very, very sad. Again, I've never seen a career like that for a striker. This wasn't like a defender. For a striker to only score 7 times for Italy, and for 6 of those to be at one World Cup. I mean, that's just. This is the Gary Lineker World Cup too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this was the
It's quite
World Cup
impressive.
where it was supposed to be Vialli's first big tournament as
It
was
was.
he a teenager or a 21-year-old? It was supposed to be
Yeah.
Altobelli, Vialli, and Andre Cannavali. They were supposed to be the big guns for. Even Roberto Baggio wasn't supposed to be the big gun for Italy. Remember? So it was like Baggio and Schillaci came on and they did good things for Italy. Yeah.
All right. So rest in peace.
Rest in
To
peace.
Schillaci. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Yinka, the WNBA playoffs have started. I believe earlier today, who was it? Was it Chicago and New York? Somebody in New York were playing. I don't remember. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is what is making my blood boil. I sent you an article from Bleacher Report.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just take a look at it. Let me tell you. I want to make sure I'm reading this Bleacher Report. Caitlin Clark ranked number 4 in WNBA MVP voting results amid historic 2024 rookie year. If I sent you that article and you had no context of what the voting was like, would you think anything historic just happened?
Nope.
Meanwhile, Asia Wilson was voted unanimous MVP. For those who don't follow these things, unanimous means there were 67 voters, and all 67 voted at number 1.
Number 1.
Right? So the way the voting works, you get to choose first place, second place, third, fourth, and fifth place. All 67, nobody voted as second, third, fourth, fifth, or left out of the ballot. 0. Everyone voted at number 1. You know how hard that is? For 67 people to think, by far, no one had a better year than you.
I told you this 2 weeks ago or last week. I told you this was going to happen.
Yes, you did. But what you did not tell me was, so Bleacher Report, apparently, the head of Bleacher Report is a Trumper. You know where I'm going with this.
I see.
So this is that stoking the WNBA is a black league. Caitlin Clark is a white girl. They're beating up on her, so we're gonna pump her up. This thing is just nasty. It's ridiculous. The point where I call it irresponsible journalism, because how can someone? I mean, when Steph Curry won unanimous MVP, that no one cared who came second. And we wouldn't have cared if the best player to ever live was a rookie and came fourth. It wouldn't have mattered to anybody. Steph Curry was the unanimous MVP. Asia Wilson won a third MVP in 4 years. It was unanimous. And the headline is about Caitlin Clark. What are we doing? This is not good. This is not helpful. And it's not good for Caitlin Clark because she's had an amazing... I was telling you, Yinka, that she should be in the MVP. I was making a case for her for MVP. You know what I'm saying? That's how good she's been. But one woman was unanimous. And the headline is about someone else?
But, Akin, I think Clark also got unanimous Rookie of the Year. Which is...
As she should.
Absolutely. As she should. As she should. See, this 1, 2, 3, 4 is perfectly ranked. Asia, by far.
It's exactly how you called it.
It's exactly how I called it.
The top 3 was your top 3.
What was my top 3?
Maybe we should tell. Why don't you tell everyone what the list was? Yeah.
So Asia Wilson's number 1. Nafisa Collier is number 2. She was also the defensive player of the year, right?
Amazing.
And Brianna Stewart was 3rd. Then what's her name? Caitlin Clark 4th. Yeah. Then Alison Clark. Is it Clark?
Alyssa Thomas.
Thomas. From Connecticut Sun was 5th. Now you see in this top 5, as you see, I think this should have been the starting Olympic female. This should have been. It's not hard.
This is not hard.
It's not hard. Right?
This is not hard.
Caitlin Clark at the 1, Alison Thomas at the 2, Nafisa at the 3, Stewie at the 4, Asia at the 5. Simple. But anyway, but I'm
So,
happy for Aja Wilson. She's the first person to score over 1,000 points in a season in the
in one
WNBA.
season. Yeah.
In the WNBA, she averaged 27 points per game, Hakeem.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. See, my favorite WNBA player is CP3, right? You will need to do something ridiculous for me to place you above CP3. Aja is on that. Is she on that trajectory, right? And why I love CP3 is CP3 was 6'4", 6'5", and she had the handles of a guard. She could pass like a
Tell
guard.
people who CP3 is.
Candace Parker, right? Candace Parker, Ellie Sparks.
She's still playing.
Yeah. No, she's retired now. She's now the head of.
She's not playing this season? I thought she was playing this season.
She's done.
Oh, I didn't know.
So she's now the head of women's basketball division for Adidas.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. But she's my favorite WNBA player. Aja is getting very, very close to that, right? The passion, forget it. Well deserved. Caitlin Clark, unanimous rookie of the year, also well deserved. Derricka Hamby was most improved player, well deserved. The awards was spot on. Nothing. They didn't miss anything. They got everything spot on. There is nothing controversial in these WNBA awards. They did. The people that voted, they voted well, right? There was nothing. I have no issues whatsoever with all the awards. None. So well done to them. The playoffs have started. Let's see how that goes. We'll catch up. We'll bring you guys up to speed with the WNBA playoffs next week. Yep.
Sure. Before we wrap up, all right, let me give some numbers on how we were talking about some of the Aja Wilson numbers, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned first WNBA player in history to score 1,000 points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those who follow the NBA, you understand there's only 12 teams in the WNBA. They don't play as many games. They don't play the 82 games that the NBA plays. So 1,000 points may not look like a lot, but remember they're playing 40 minutes, not 48, and they're playing I don't know how many games. Are they playing 40 games or however many games they're playing? So it's not a ton of games. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a record. She finished with 1,021 points. She also set the record for rebounds in a season. She finished with 451.
Yep.
So she almost hit 500 rebounds. But the 451 is a record. And she's not the tallest woman to ever play in the WNBA.
She's not.
She's really not a center, right? She's a stretch four. She's really not a center. Okay, so that's one. Then let's talk about the voting itself, right? So, like I said, she's unanimous. She's only the second woman ever in the WNBA to win unanimous MVP. And the first woman was the first season of the WNBA, Cynthia Cooper, with the disbanded Houston Comets. Not since 1997, in the inaugural season of the WNBA, has there been a unanimous MVP. All right. This is how well they got this right. Nafisa, who came second, right, was second on 66 of 67 ballots. So mostly they just got it right. There was only one voter who didn't put her as number 2. All right. And then Brianna, got the other second place vote that didn't go to Nafisa, right? Brianna got that. So that top 3 was very consistent. And I think Caitlin was a deserved 4th. If we're being honest, she was a deserved 4th. Yeah.
I agree.
She was let's see. She came, let's see. I had it here how many people voted. Anyway, I'm not gonna waste time on that. But it was well deserved. I don't know what's gonna happen in the playoffs. But I have a sneaky suspicion Aja Wilson will lead the Aces to another title. But what do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
So the last 8 games or so, the Aces have ramped up, right? I think they won 7 out of the last 8 or so. Yeah. They're back in championship form. Amazing. And I mean, the way Aja Wilson is playing, with the support cast that she has, The only team I'm slightly concerned with that might tip them off will be the Liberty, yeah, and it's because Liberty have three threats. You have Sabrina Ionescu, you have Britney
Yeah.
Stewart, and you
Brianna
have
Stewart. Yeah.
Brianna Stewart, sorry, and you have Jonquel Jones, right?
Mhm.
Those three, those three, on their good day, they can give Aces the run for their money.
Yeah.
Nafisa alone cannot do it for Minnesota. I'm sorry, right? Once it's playoff, just double Nafisa and it's over. That's what I think will happen. Or just game plan for Nafisa, and there's nobody else on that Aces. I mean, on that Lynx team, Minnesota Lynx
Yeah.
team, that can do anything. But that's the problem with Aces. If you want to game plan for AJ Wilson, you still have a Plum, you have Jackie Young, you have, although she's old now, point guard, what's her name? The point guard that went to the Olympics that you and I said shouldn't go. I've forgotten her name.
Oh,
Her
yeah.
name slips my mind.
Is it Chelsea?
Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray can
Chelsea Gray.
kill
Yeah.
you, right? And you still have the sixth man. I mean, what's her
No, I'm
name?
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
The sixth woman of the league, the sixth woman, is actually on the Aces.
On the
What's
Aces,
her
yeah.
name? Tiffany Hayes. I think it's Tiffany. Yeah, yeah. So the Aces is theirs to lose, and I think they're going to get it. I think they're going to
So
get it.
you got the 26.9 points per game that Asia Wilson that led the league with. Is the highest ever in league history.
Yep.
You know, yeah, beats Diana Taurasi's 25.3. I mean, but that's by more than 1.5 points per game. So again, I just want some balance in the way this thing is covered.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone will say, "Oh, Caitlin Clark is the reason the league is blah 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 blah." But there's someone else breaking all these records who is doing historical things. Who has won 2 MVPs before and just won a unanimous one. So okay, I'm gonna stop because we need to move on. So it is. I'm good. We need to move on. So let's go. All right. So Yinka, we have a question.
Yep.
Let's quickly do it. And the question is, what are your top 5 derbies in world football? And you get the privilege of going first.
No, why would you want to do that? Let you go first. Let me hear what you have to say.
Yinka, I can't ask the question and answer my own question. I want you.
I think you should. You know why? Because
why?
To be fair to you, I actually misread the question, right?
Oh, really? What did you think it was?
It's top 5, isn't it? That's the question.
It's top 5. What are the top 5 derbies in world football?
Yeah. Okay, so in no particular order, I can go. So in no particular order. So before I answer, let me start off by saying this, right?
Yeah.
I'm confused at times what people really mean by derbies, right? Because my understanding of a derby is not just because people call it a derby. It has to be you are within the same locality, within the same region. You can't be within the same country and you call it a derby. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, for example, you call Barcelona Madrid a derby. It is not really. But it's not really a derby.
You're being very technical. So let's put it this way. It's either like a traditional derby in the classic sense of the word, meaning they share a neighborhood, they share a city, they share a stadium. It's either that or it's the biggest game in a league and has been for many, many decades.
Okay. So when you define it like that, I agree with you. But I find that interesting because I think one of the reasons why a derby is that closeness, is that situation where you find the husband might be a team A fan, the wife is a team B fan, the first son is a team B fan, second daughter is for me that's what a derby is in the true sense of the word. But if El Clasico goes in, then El Clasico is undoubtedly number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, absolutely. You can't strike that off. So for me, El Clasico is number one. Number two, and this would have been number one for me in terms of a proper derby, would have been the Super Clasico in Argentina. Because
River Plate versus Boca Juniors.
River Plate versus Boca Juniors. If you're looking for madness of the highest order in terms of a derby, one just happened this weekend on Friday. 9 seconds into the game, there was a yellow card already.
Of course,
9 seconds into the game, there was a yellow card. So for me, I mean, Matt Damon told the story about him attending Super Classico. I was gonna get it out. You guys Google it, you'll see the story he told. He said he followed his in-laws to go watch the game. He didn't know what it was. He said he's been watching American sports forever. That this is when he understands what sports rivalry means.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was so loud, the stadium was shaking, it was vibrating. He had never seen anything like that before. But that's number two for me. So that I don't talk too much. That's number two.
Okay.
Number three will be the Old Firm Derby in Scotland.
Okay.
Rangers versus Celtic. Now, guys, this is the true definition of a derby. This thing has been going on for decades, and it has some political, religious undertone to it.
Absolutely.
Celtic is Catholic. Rangers, they are
Protestants.
Yeah. So it's not just football. It is life in itself. And you know, they play, I think this is the derby that they play most every year. They play like 6 times in a season or so, right? Because, you know, it's the Scottish League. There are not that many. So one way or the other, they will end up playing the FA Cup, the Scottish version.
End up in cups.
They end up in cups.
Both cups.
Exactly. So you're getting the Old Firm Derby. Like 6 times a season. And everyone is as intense, is as loud as the last one. Although they don't share the same stadium. But it's a crazy derby. That's number 3, right?
Yeah.
Number 4 will be the Milan Derby. And why? They have the same stadium.
Yeah.
It's Inter, AC Milan. In fact, there was a rumor, I'm not sure whether this is true, that their jerseys, there was a lot of fight and war around their jerseys. You know, the only difference between their jerseys is just purple and red.
The color.
It's just purple and red.
It's the same design.
It's the same design. It's the same everything, right? And they play in the same stadium. Okay? So there's no home and away. Just like 2 games every season will meet.
Well, there is home and away. So when you're home, you'll have the home locker room. When you're away, you have the away locker room, which is crazy, but yes. You know.
So talking about that, one just happened today. AC Milan won, by the way, 2-1. I just checked that on my phone. The game just finished not too long ago, right? So that's number 4, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And number 5, I don't want to give it to it, but I'll just give it to it.
Which one?
I was torn between North London Derby and Liverpool and United, right?
Okay. We are pretty much the same list.
But you see what I'm saying? I'll give it to North London Derby because it's within London. Manchester and Liverpool are just northwest. They are in the same region. You know, they're not as right. But when you have somebody that relocates from Woolwich Arsenal in South East London and goes all the way to the other side of town, North London, Northwest. Is it Northwest or Northeast? NW, Northwest. Yeah. Northwest. You go to Northwest and you go take over their region and you now become a bigger club than they are. You can imagine the hatred. Yeah. You can imagine the hatred. So I think I'll give it to the North London Derby. Yeah. So those are my top 5.
Do you have any honorable mentions? Because I have more than 5. So you can have more than 5.
Okay. So the bubbling unders that I have, I had Galatasaray Fenerbahce, which happened yesterday.
That just happened.
That just happened yesterday. I have PSG Marseille, which is another old crazy one. Then I
also
have
not in the same city.
Also not in the same city. Then I have the Klassiker in Germany, which is Munich, and Borussia
Yeah,
Dortmund.
yeah.
So I
But
think
German ball is just not violent. You know what I mean? Like they're too nice. You know, it's just not enough violence. You know, it's not enough hatred for me in
I
German
agree
in the
with you.
German league. You know, like
And
you know.
I went to the Brazilian league. I thought of a country that is
Ooh,
very passionate about football. Almost every game in Brazil is a derby, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
I mean,
I couldn't even
I
pick
can't.
one.
I can't pick two teams that maybe Santos and whom. You know, that's the thing with Brazil.
Is,
Like a
is it
round
Santos
robin of
and
rivals.
Palmeiras, or is it
Palmeiras,
Corinthians? Oh,
Corinthians, Botafogo, you know, Grêmio. It's just everybody hates everybody, but there's
everybody
no
hates everybody.
two that is So I didn't have Brazil on my list, to be
I
honest.
didn't have, so that's why I dropped Brazil too. But they're very
Okay.
passionate about football. I think that's my list.
Okay, so to recap, your list is El Clasico, that's Real Barcelona, Super
Mm-hmm.
Clasico, uh, River Plate versus Boca Juniors, Old Firm
Yeah.
Derby, Celtics
Mm-hmm.
Rangers, Milan
Mm-hmm.
Derby, Inter
Mm-hmm.
AC Milan, North
Mm-hmm.
London Derby, Arsenal, and the team that shall not be named. And then your others are Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, PSG, Marseille, Bayern, Dortmund. All right, so mine, I was
Mm-hmm.
gonna say in no particular order, but I don't want to be lazy. I will put it in order. So number one for me was El Clasico. It's
Yeah.
just, and I think because of the generation we're living in, where we got the benefits of Ronaldo versus Messi, that kind of
Yeah.
revived it for me. I
Mm.
think without Ronaldo v Messi, it wouldn't have been relevant to this generation, if we're being honest. But that really just when both of them at the same time were the best clubs in the world within like a decade. You know, that's just that hasn't
But
happened in a
Akin,
long time.
before
Yeah.
you move on, Akin,
Mm.
saying the El Clasico, maybe I didn't get you properly. Well, it
Mm.
wasn't Ronaldo and Messi that made El Clasico relevant, though. El Clasico has been El Clasico
No,
forever.
I know. No. I know. I'm
Aha.
saying for this generation,
Okay,
globally,
okay,
for this
okay.
generation, globally, right? It brought it to the forefront. You know, it wasn't just like you and I. We're not even debating. We just put it at number one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So there's a
yeah.
lot of recency bias in it. Like
There's
it would have been a bunch of old men fighting each other if Ronaldo never played for Real and there was never a Messi. You know what I'm saying? It would have been
I
cute.
get your point.
You know,
I get your
it
point.
would have been Milan, Inter versus AC. You know, but with
Yeah.
that decade that we got of Messi for 10 plus years, Ronaldo for 6 of those. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that was a blessing. All right,
Yeah,
so that
I
was
agree.
number one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liverpool Man U was my number two. And then River Plate Boca was my number three. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So River Plate Boca was my number three. Celtic Old Firm was my number four. North London
Mm-hmm.
Derby was my number five. And then I had Milan Inter as number six. So I
Okay.
only had
So
six.
we're quite close.
Yeah, so it was
We're
pretty
quite
close.
close.
I
Yeah.
had Liverpool Man U higher up than you did.
Yeah.
Because again, it's also about a point in time. You know, if we were talking about the 80s or 80s, 90s, where Liverpool dominated in the 80s and Man U dominated in the 90s, this will be a much bigger derby. That's kind of my point with El Clasico. You know,
Yeah.
there's recency bias to a lot of these things. You know,
Yeah.
now there's more good teams in England than just Liverpool versus Man U.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of hatred between those two. Like Arsenal came in a little bit when Liverpool was down and became the chief rival to Man U, but it's Man U fans don't hate Arsenal the way they hate Liverpool. They could never. You know what I mean? Like, and they don't even think about City. You know, even though they play in the same. Yeah.
Don't you think this hatred is getting watered down with the emergence of the other teams that we have now? Because then
Yes.
these guys were competing for who's going to win, who's going to have the highest number of. It wasn't Premier League then, but whatever it was called then.
Just first division titles. Yeah.
First division title. So that was what made the derby the derby. There was really nothing associating the two of them, if you get what I mean, right?
Think about when Ferguson came in. What was his famous his famous quote. Like he wants to knock Liverpool off
Of their
their
perch.
effing perch.
Yeah.
That's his biggest quote ever. That's how big it was. And then
Yeah.
13 titles later,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that one man won 13 is crazy, right? But he achieved it. So again,
Absolutely.
like he didn't come in to beat City. He didn't come in to beat Everton. He didn't come in to beat Arsenal. He came into because Liverpool were the team. And again, TV wasn't what it was now back then, but this was the main rivalry in England. Still is. They're the two biggest clubs in England. And Arsenal is maybe a distant third, but Arsenal is third. They're not one or two. Liverpool is Liverpool. Man U 1, Liverpool 2. In terms of the size of the club. All right, so that was a fun question. So Yinka, I think we're going to. Did you have anything else before we go to the league, the week that was in the Champions League?
I'm
let's
good.
go into it.
Let's go into it.
So, Yinka, I wanted us to do something a little different, right? So instead of going from league to league and almost recapping, I just want to talk about interesting things that happened.
Okay.
Around the league, and I'm calling an audible here. Why don't we start with interesting things that happen in the Champions League? And I say that because we have a whole new format. What I thought was interesting was people trying to do a table and getting confused, right? Because there's no groups again, really, right? So it's just like there's 36 teams, I think, instead of 32. There's 36, and you have a draw after one game. You don't know what it means. You don't know if it's a good draw or a bad draw. You know what I mean? Because you're not in a table with 3 others. You're in a table with 35
with everybody. Others. Exactly.
So for example, City were home to the Italian champions. 0-0 draw. Arsenal went away to Atalanta. 0-0 draw. Did City have a good draw? Did City drop 2 points? Did Arsenal have a good? We don't know how to analyze it.
So we said this when we discovered this new format. Yeah. I don't like it. It's not. I thought when it starts, maybe I'll have a change of mind.
We'll see.
It has started. I still don't like it.
Yeah.
The only thing I like, and I'll repeat it again, is the fact that once you're out, you're out. You ain't going to Europa League to go and be local champion. That's not going to happen anymore. So early, what you said is absolutely spot on. We don't know the implication of a draw, a loss. It will only get interesting when the games begin to dry up. But right now, it's just like any other game. The excitement they thought they were going to generate with this new format, I'm sorry, game one is not given at all. As our young guys will say these days, it is not given. I'm sorry. I am sorry. So I hope this plan. I hope we revert back to the home away. Let's know who's in your group, so that by the time you draw to a lower team, wow, I'm in trouble. Or do you understand? You know the permutation and stuff. So right now, I'm not a fan of this at all.
Yeah, it's almost like the unbalanced, fixture list.
Yeah,
almost reminds me of the NFL, right? Where
exactly
you don't. There's not enough games, so you don't play everyone home and away except within your division.
Absolutely.
So you may pay that you may play them at home this year, and then 2 or 3 years later you play them on the road or whatever. So that part is fascinating to me. I'm holding. I can't say I love it, but I want to see how it plays out.
I don't like it. If I love it later on, I'll let you know. Right now, I don't like it. I'm sorry. Right now, it's not my cup of tea.
But so for me, obviously, the main thing that happened was David Raya became a superstar. For me, that was the highlight of the 3-1. There was a 3-day Champions League week. They played Tuesday, they played Wednesday, they played Thursday. So
Yeah.
to the extent they wanted to dominate the new cycle, they achieved that, right? David Raya made 2 stunning saves, right? So Ghanaian brother, Thomas Partey, made a
The
very
Ghanaian
lazy,
brother.
very, very, very lazy attempt at, it's not even a tackle. You know, it brought someone down with his hands. That's
Yeah.
unforgivable at
Yeah.
this level. Penalty, Ryan made a save, got up, similar to what he did against Ollie Watkins, but
Made a
this time from
non-save.
a penalty. There was no one
Yeah.
else around him. And this, the Italian captain had the entire,
Goalpost to aim
length of
at.
the goalpost to aim at, and he aimed it, and this guy made a stunning save, and Arsenal escaped. What's that town called? Bergamo.
Bergamo.
Escaped them. Yeah, escaped Bergamo with a 0-0 draw. That should never have happened. Arsenal should have lost, probably by more than 1 goal, but they should have lost. But I think David Raya is now a legitimate superstar. My prediction is Unai Simon will be the backup for Spain when he comes back from his injury. I think it's done.
I think it's done. I think it's done. And this is becoming a common trend. Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, Game 4 of the Arsenal season in the EPL, he has had one spectacular save after the other. As in point blank, spectacular save. That the XG for those kind of shots that he saved was 1. You understand? Pretty much.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, how did he save that? Yeah. So I'm happy for him. And I'm also happy for Arsenal and Arteta because now their decision is justified. They've been vindicated, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Unlike when everybody was shouting that Adam Ramsdale should be number 1. We'll talk about Raya a lot more when we get to the EPL, the game that happened today. Because I don't think Ramsdale could have survived that onslaught that happened today.
No, he would have died in the post. He would have died in the goal post. All right, so did anything stand out to you on the Champions League before we move forward? Anything else at all?
I hated the format so much I probably watched those games.
You didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention. Right? I liked Liverpool winning away to Milan.
It showed resolve. It really showed resolve.
That was the only decent game, frankly. Every other game was either
Monaco,
drab.
Barcelona.
But the red card spoiled the game also.
I know. That's true.
So
that's true. But there are some kids on that Monaco team that I'm like, there's a kid that played at the Olympics for Henry that I can't say his name, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, the French kid.
Aliouche.
Thank you. You got to watch out for him. I like he has a football brain. It's quick, athletic, fast, decision making, and I'm like, how does France produce these kids? Like, it's just.
Henri said it. We have a system and we follow it, right?
Yeah,
we have a system, we follow it. It's simple, right? By the time the kid is 2-3 years old, he's already playing football on the concretes in Paris. And by the time he's 4-5, he has immaculate ball control because he's been playing on concrete all his life. And you now put him on a green lush turf, and you think he can control the ball. So there's that hurt stat, yeah. And they then get these kids at that early age and just pump them into all the academies. Where remember this old man at Auxerre, what's his name? Is he? I keep forgetting his name. Old guy that discovered
the guy who used to discover everybody.
Exactly.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
All teams in Paris or in France are just replicating what Auxerre had several years back, right?
Yeah.
So they have a good feeder system, and that's why the league keeps producing talent. But yeah.
I think I told you that in the US, so beIN Sports carries Ligue 1 and they market it in the US market as the League of Talent. I always thought that was interesting. They just said the League of Talent. So but anyway, so Monaco again, they look amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. So I think we're gonna let the Champions League, just lie for a little bit. Nothing crazy happen.
Yeah, let it percolate. Let's leave it there.
So
when it gets interesting, we'll come back to it.
obviously the big tie in the top five leagues this weekend was Arsenal at City. So before we get to it, is there any other matchup in any other of the top five leagues that you think is worth mentioning, or any other
Okay,
topic associated with it?
so I have a couple. We've already talked about the Milan derby. Milan won.
Yeah.
Inter season is not looking too good. Juventus, they're also wobbling in Syria. So, like I said, watch out for Syria. Anybody can win Syria at this point. Anybody. Napoli
Yeah.
Juve yesterday too was 0-0, I think. So it's open. Udinese lost. They were leading. So now they
We
lost.
knew that
So
wasn't gonna last. We knew
we
Udinese
knew it
wasn't
wasn't
gonna
gonna
last.
last.
We
We
knew
knew it
that.
wasn't gonna last. But the Milan derby is interesting that Milan won. I thought Inter was gonna win. But that's one. Second point is not within our top five league, but I really enjoyed the Galatasaray Fenerbahce match that happened in Turkey. Jose Mourinho is not having good times in Turkey. Right? His team they're struggling. Galatasaray beat them silly. The only goal they scored was a very dubious penalty, and Galatasaray
It was
actually beat
2-1, right?
Fenerbahce. No, it was 3-1 at the
2-1?
end of the day.
Was it
It was
3-1?
3-1.
Okay.
Yeah. Osimhen had a
I know
fantastic
Osimhen had an
assist
assist, but he
with his
didn't have a
chest.
goal.
He
Yeah.
didn't score.
Yeah,
It was a lovely assist with his chest. I thought that was decent. And Barca won again today, 5-1
I
or
saw the beginning.
thereabout.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game. I just saw the goals, and I'm like, Hansi Flick, watch out, you know. And I guess that's it. There's really nothing else
Okay.
that picked my. One more thing. PSG dropped points for the first time, and that's it.
Yeah. Who were they playing? Do you remember?
They were away to Brest, and they were away to, was it Brest or Stade Reims?
No, they've already. I thought they've already played Brest. You might be thinking about Brest's Champions League game, because that was actually one of the highlights of this Champions League week. Yeah, but let's.
They were away to Stade Reims. Sorry, it was Stade Reims.
Yeah, that's
I missed them up. They dropped points.
Yeah, because they already beat Brest, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, let me react to a couple things. So one, on the Barcelona front, there's more than one way to win a title, right? So sometimes it's slug it out, whatever. Sometimes you take a lead, you never relinquish it, and no matter what anyone else does, they can't catch you, right? I think with Barca, they will hit some roadblocks, but they're putting enough of a distance between them and their rivals, and it's still taking Madrid way too long to figure out that attack. So I was watching Espanyol and Real Madrid on the plane when I was traveling last night, and it took so long for Real to cook.
Yeah,
and they considered the first goal. And Espanyol are not good. They just came up from the second division, Segunda. And the guy that Arsenal tried to get, the goalkeeper Arsenal tried to get, was on there. He's not as good as David Raya. Let me just say that right now. I checked. I was actually right a couple weeks ago when I was talking about this. They came up. So that first game, this is like his first La Liga season, because he had played in the Segunda before.
I see.
So it's crazy that they wouldn't budge from the 30 million they wanted for this guy. Now, the one thing I would give him, he's as big as Unai Simon. Like, he's a tall like you do. So it's bigger. And, he has the same typical, ball playing, whatever thing. But he doesn't have top level experience. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, and then if he has a successful season, does he really want to play second fiddle? The whole thing just seems funny to me, the 30 million euro situation. But anyway, Vini didn't start for Real, and I don't think he's injured. And I think we can safely conclude that Mbappe is not a number 9. And at 25, I think we can safely say he may never be, because I don't even think he's trying. I think he thinks the way to be a number 9 is just to take shots from the number 9 position. He doesn't bring anyone into the play with him. He doesn't hold up the ball at all. It's not good. And it's disappointing to me, because he played so many games with Giroud. You know what I mean? And it feels like Giroud didn't rub off on him at all. And there's many. It doesn't do the false nine thing that Messi popularized. It's just a athlete, fast guy running centrally. Great.
So, but I would have thought, right, that what Mbappe should, or who Mbappe should be looking at in terms of comp will be Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry started off as a winger, became a striker, but himself and Robert Pires found a way to still work their way around so that when Pires comes into the midfield, he goes to the left, and Freddie Ljungberg comes in for the right and was just tapping in and tapping in and tapping in.
Yeah.
It can work. He can make it work. I just believe that maybe the willingness is not there, the zeal is not there. I don't know. But
so you don't want to say it, but I would say the intelligence is not there. He's not an intelligent football player. This is not an insult. It's reality. You know, so
I wasn't going to go there, but if you go there,
It's the truth.
I don't actually disagree with you, frankly.
Yeah, it's the truth.
I don't disagree
it just goes with
you.
speed. His speed, knock the ball, knock it past everybody. So what's amazing to me is that no one has made an offer for Rodrigo that Real can refuse. Because for me, might be the pick. It might be the pick of that bunch. I saw with Vinny on the bench, he had more freedom. That's an intelligent player, but it's so far down the pecking order because now
it's coming.
What's the name of the
Endrick?
Now it's all about Endrick, blah blah blah. 18-year-old. I'm sorry, Endrick might end up being good. He's nowhere near Rodrigo right now. Rodrigo is intelligent. His movement is intelligent.
That bid, it's coming.
I think he has
Trust
to leave.
me.
I think he has to leave. And is the one guy that I know can play all the 3 forward positions.
Yep.
You know, because
his skill is actually more intentional than Vinny's. Vinny does a lot of flip flop, all these. Sometimes I believe it's just too much, and I believe that they are dimming Rodrigo's light so that Vinny's can shine a lot more. Whereas if you stop that, you might be shocked that Rodrigo's light is even way brighter than Vinny's.
It's a personality thing too. Vinny is humble. Vinny is quiet. You know, we talked about he doesn't talk much. You know, he doesn't have like outrageous speed. He doesn't even have the how do I put this?
Vinny or Rodrigo?
Rodrigo. Sorry.
Okay.
He doesn't have the obvious hustle of a Gabriel Jesus or of a Gabriel Martinelli, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has, everything he does is so intricate. You know, I really was watching it, and I'm like, he took responsibility in a way I didn't expect him to when things weren't going well against Espanyol. Now, don't get me wrong, Espanyol are not a top club. They're not even good. But that's not the point. The point is nothing was working. They were a little fortunate, though, because Bellingham was back, and Bellingham was doing his usual, trying to make things happen. But the only person on that front line coming back to combine with Bellingham was Rodrigo. You know? So I'm like, I see some game intelligence here. I'm like, if this guy leaves and goes somewhere where they can feature him more as he goes into his mid-20s, I think that would be good for his career.
Yeah. Arsenal.
I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. We've been accused enough of only talking about Arsenal. So,
and they're about to accuse us more. All right.
Okay.
After what happened today.
All right. So I think let's just get into it. I don't think there was any other game in the league that is really worth in the Premier League that's really worth talking about. Liverpool, Liverpool won, so they avenged whatever the loss they had the other week or whatever. Chelsea, don't look now. I say this all the time. Don't look now, but the kids might be all right. So our boy Nicola Jackson
Yep.
since the beginning of last season has scored 18 non-penalty goals. The same number as Mo Salah. Okay? So remember, I think you thought I was crazy when I said, you remember when he signed that 9-year extension, whatever, that I know Drogba is you people's GOAT. I think if he plays the same number of years as Drogba, he will score more goals. Drogba was only prolific for 2 seasons. Now, I'm not saying he's a good striker. I'm not saying he's a good footballer. But if we're only looking at number of goals, for as much as he misses, he's actually pretty prolific. He's still really young. He's only going to get better. And he will get many chances because they don't have a striker, Inca. So as long as he's not injured, he will continue to play. He scored 18 times non-penalty goals since the beginning of last season. In today's world where there's no more number 9s, that's almost, dare I say, that's almost world-class level. I mean, Gabriel Martinelli only scored 6 Premier League goals last season. The year before that, he scored 15. So we make fun of Chelsea. We make fun of Nicola Jackson because he misses howlers. You know what I mean? But that's part of the development process, as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, this kid will score more goals than Drogba if he stays healthy. Because Drogba's return is actually very disappointing. He has seasons where he scored 10 goals, and everyone tells me it's the GOAT.
But there's a reason. But there's a reason for that, right? And it goes back to style of play. Yeah. It goes back to style of play. It will be interesting to see if there were accuracy stats. It will be interesting to see accuracy stats for Nicholas Jackson in comparison to Didier Drogba, right? The reason why Frank Lampard scored as many goals as he scored is because there was somebody disturbing the 5 and 6 that they were worried about.
That's very true.
Right, and the reason why you had, what's his name? This Dutch bald guy, what's his name? Ian Robin, right? Torment everybody is because Drogba was more than a goal scorer.
I know.
Nicholas Jackson is there to. Does he bring people into play? Not as much.
Not yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Not yet. Yeah, they play him in. Yeah, we see glaring chances that he should score, and he scuffs his shots and stuff like that. But I hear you, and I like the way Chelsea is looking. Maresca seems to have gotten some bit right, in the sense that he's realized maybe Cole Palmer should be my cam, yeah, and I'll just be alternating who plays on the right wing or the left wing. So that game it was Madueke and what's his name, and Jadon Sancho, right? In another game it could be Neto and what's the other Portuguese guy's name, Joao Felix, or they have options, and as long as their defense can be resolute, I think they will always score goals. Okay. However, I think that game is more about West Ham, right, messing up than Chelsea being super. I'm sorry. I might be wrong. West Ham were stupidly poor.
That's true.
Can somebody please save our Ghanaian brother from West Ham? They don't deserve Mohamed Kudus. I'm sorry. They don't. He should leave. Anyway.
Speaking of African brothers, so social media is not a real place. Shout out to Dave Chappelle who said that originally. Yeah. But I saw something on social media that Nicola Jackson, that his father is part of the Aku group in the Gambia who are like Yoruba transplants. So Nicola Jackson may be a Yoruba brother. So I just want to put that out there so you can temper the hate that I feel coming from you right now. That's
maybe his name is Nia Jakai that he told to Nicholas Jackson.
No, but for me, I want to be fair to these kids. And again, maybe I'm getting soft, because I'm a, sports dad or whatever. But I'm like, you gotta let these kids breathe. You gotta let them play. I know they're professionals. I know they get paid, but I'm also a numbers guy. The guy's putting the ball in the back of the net in the middle of chaos. Chelsea is so chaotic, but the numbers don't lie. And if he can keep improving his game, keep bringing people into the play, stop the nonsense about fighting people over PKs, you're better than that. You know,
No,
I
so
just
I can. He's not a scrub. Nobody's saying
yeah,
he's a
no,
scrub.
no, it's not.
And does he deserve to be in the Premier League? Yes. Does he deserve
Yes,
to be on that
absolutely.
Chelsea team? Yes. No, yeah, I'm not calling him a scrub. All I'm
Yeah,
saying is, if you put an Eddie Nketiah in the same environment, you'll most likely get the same results.
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't
You'll
do
most
that.
likely get
Are
the
you
same results.
do,
That's my
okay?
point.
No, I have a soft spot for Eddie Nketiah because he's an Arsenal boy, but Nicola Jackson is way better than Eddie Nketiah.
Okay.
Let's just be real about this.
I hear you.
He's faster, he's quicker, is
It's
believe it or
about
not.
opportunities.
I
It's about
know.
opportunities and style of play. When Eddie Nketiah had a decent run of play in the Arsenal team while Gabriel Jesus was injured, he had decent returns. That is for an Arsenal team that
He's a
doesn't
good poacher.
play,
Yeah, he's a good poacher.
exactly,
Yeah,
that doesn't play to his strength, right? So
yeah.
put him in that same Chelsea environment, right? You might have the same set of numbers. That's my point. So
Okay, but
I'm not saying Nicholas is bad, right? Or Nia
yeah.
Jakai. I'm not saying he's horrible,
And
but
he's younger. He's
yeah,
younger. He's
yeah,
younger.
yeah. But I'm happy for
Nketiah is
him.
now 24. Nketiah is
I'm
now
happy.
24.
See, I'm
Yeah.
happy for these guys. I love when people turn their not too good stories into success stories,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'll be so happy for him if 3-4 years from now we look at him and be like, this same Nicholas Jackson. For everybody that is raving, Thierry Henry, when he came to Arsenal in his first season, he was
Squad Wiggles.
mediocre. It was mediocre. Let's be honest with it. Nicholas Anelka was the boy. He was like, that's our superstar, right? But see what happened. So people blossom differently. There are early bloomers. There are some people that is until they are 29 or 30 that you start realizing, wow, that's a player. And there are some people, say 16, 17, like in Lamine Yamal, they're world beaters already. By the time they're 24, 25, you'll be like, whatever happened to Lamine Yamal? Ansu Fati was Lamine Yamal 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. Well, maybe not
Injuries.
5, 5, 6.
Injuries. No. Like
But you get my
3 years
point.
ago. Yeah, injury. It's
But you
coming
get my
back.
point.
It's
But you
coming
get
back.
my point.
It's coming back. Yeah, I do. All right. So,
Yeah, let's move on.
without further ado, Arsenal at Man City. Go.
You want me to go? We won't leave here
Yes.
today if I go.
Yeah, just go. Go, but restrain yourself. Restrain yourself.
I should
We
restrain
don't have all
myself.
day.
Okay. So, the Arsenal game. I thought that was a technical masterpiece. It was like a chess game between Arteta and Pep for the first 45 minutes. Right? And if the ref had not robbed us of, or the ref had not, the ref didn't do what he did in injury time, that second half would have been even better than the first half. Yeah. To start with, there was a lineup change. Ben White didn't play. He didn't start.
Don't start.
I was surprised. I was expecting Calafiori to come off the bench. So Calafiori started, and maybe it was just they wanted to like rest Ben White against Doku because of Doku being fast and slippery, and they thought, oh, let's get proper, right backs and left backs, or full backs into the game to cope with Savinho and Doku. City scored first. It was a defensive lapse between Gabriel and Saliba. They were not too sure whether they should step up or follow the run. At the end of the day, Saliba did something, Gabriel did the other. He gave, what's his name, Haaland a free pass. And you can't give Haaland those kind of chances. He will definitely put it away. Now, 3 seasons ago, that would have been the opening to a floodgate. Yeah? It would have been 4-5 by probably halftime. But Arsenal hunkered down. They're like, you know what? We got this. We know what to do. Yeah? And the game went on. City just going left, right, holding on to the ball, not really making serious incursions. Then Arsenal get a lot of people I saw on social media were kind of complaining that, oh, there was something wrong with the goal. But I looked at it.
They had a point, but go on.
but not that much. The problem was once the ref said game on, right? He didn't even blow the whistle immediately. What's his name? Walker was talking to his own player and he was jogging back. He got to a point, actually stopped and he was walking. And the ref was like, Akin, go ahead.
Okay, so this is what actually happened. There was a foul, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forget who was involved. I can't remember. I don't think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
And the referee called, I think Saka was already close to the referee, but the referee called Walker to himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was talking to the two captains, right? Mm-hmm. I think the foul was on Partey. I think the foul was on Partey. Foul against Partey. So it was about 10 yards from the center circle, right? And then while the referee was talking to the two captains, Walker and Saka, Partey moved the ball up through the center circle, moved it about 10 yards. 1 or 2 yards is fine. 10 is aggressive, right? And remember, Walker is a right back. So while Walker was trying to get back to his right back position, Arsenal takes a very quick free kick and the outlet was Martinelli, who is a left winger, and it was going straight at where Walker would have been. That was the problem. That was the problem City had. So I think City have a point.
Okay, so I agree with you, but here's my point. When the ref blew the whistle, right, the free kick wasn't even taken immediately after he blew the whistle. Saka was seen jogging or more or less sprinting towards his right flank. The ball was closer to, what's his name, to Walker's side of the field. Walker stopped and was talking to his own player instead of jogging back.
Running back, yeah.
Yeah. So by the time they kicked the ball, he was actually close to Martinelli. So what was he going to do before? He got beat.
He's
exactly. but I get it. But VAR checked it. What did they expect the ref to do? Waited till they got back to their place and say, "Are you at your place? Are you at your place?" And now blow. Is that what they expected?
They do that for goalkeepers. They don't do that for right backs.
They don't do that for right backs. So I'm sorry. Anyway, so Calafiori scores a wonderful curved ball, beautiful goal. And I think he atoned for the fact that first goal, Savinho spinned him.
Savinho turned him in,
turned him inside out. Then the game kind of balanced and everybody calmed down. Okay, let's stop this IGG. Let's settle down. Then Arsenal had two glaring chances, offset pieces. The first one, Gabriel was marked by Doku. Doku, compared to Gabriel, is like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
I don't get that. He spun Doku, nodded the ball over. The commentators on our end said that the ref told City that if that head had been on target, he would have blown a free kick against Arsenal because they were impeding Ederson.
They didn't touch him, but go on.
Then the repeat episode. This time around, Walker says, "Doku, you're too small. Let me take." That was
actually an instruction from Pep. Pep had them switch, but go on.
Exactly the same thing happened, but dropped his shoulder, went the other way, scored. The game was balanced. Arsenal was in control. There was nothing. There was no threat per se, right? I see six minutes injury time.
I don't know where it came from.
They were still playing. I didn't know where it came from.
I don't know where the 6 minutes came from.
And they were still playing. 7th minute, 8th minute. I'm like, ref, what's going on? Blow your whistle, right? Then, Trossard batched into, was it Gundogan or Bernardo Silva?
I think it was Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva batched into him, right? And he kept on playing and he cleared the ball like a defensive clearing. And next thing I saw was a free kick, and I'm like, yellow card again. I'm like, for the badge? I actually thought it was for the badge. I thought it was for the shoulder. I'm like, that can't be a yellow card. And there was confusion. The ref and VAR and the commentary said initially that it was for the badge, only for PGMOL to now send a tweet later on to say no, it was for the fact that he kicked the ball. And I'm like, that is like 20 microseconds after the ref blew his whistle. There is no way he could have heard the whistle. He was playing. That was no delay of play. For me, delay of play is when you acknowledge that there's been a foul and you intentionally kick the ball. He didn't even know there was a foul. This is not the Declan Rice case. Declan Rice knew there was a foul and he kicked the ball. He didn't even know. He was just playing. He was just playing normally as if, oh, I wanted to clear the ball. The game is over. Half time. Let's go into the whatever. And the ref said there's a delay of game for that. This just reminds me of Van Persie at Nou Camp several years ago.
Yep.
There is no way there's delay of play. There is no way, right? And the ref, once again, letter of the law. That's the new name for Arsenal now. Letter of the law football club. He goes letter of the law and say you kicked the ball, give him a second yellow card. We all saw Doku. 5 minutes before, there was a free kick. He knew there was a free kick. He went there, he kicked the ball. And you could see Michael Oliver saying, go on, go on. What happened to the letter of the law there? Why is letter of the law always applicable to Arsenal? Once that happened, I said, because I was watching the game where I was, I told you, right? I told my little man that was with me, I said, the best we'll probably get out of this game will be a draw, right? Because 45 minutes is going to be 11v10 defensive. That's what it's going to be. There's no game anymore.
You thought City was going to score at least 2 goals and win.
Exactly. I said the best way. That's what I said. I said the best we're going to get out of this will be a draw. That's exactly what I told him. Because I said there's no way you will not crack under this kind of pressure. There's no way, right? The team did all they could do, but the ref already spoiled the game. Raya was immense. The defense was immense. The whole team immense, right? Now, going back to City, I told you 2 weeks ago, City don't need help. The help that they're getting is becoming too much. This is the same ref that did not give Kovacic red card last season at the Emirates for two fouls. 2 of them were red card offense on their own, right? This is the same ref that did not give Liverpool the penalty against City, right? What are we talking about here? You guys tell me it's incompetence. I've told you, Akin, I'm worried. This doesn't sound like incompetence to me. This sounds like bias. For Arsenal, you're looking for a reason to give them a red card. For the other teams, you're looking for a reason not to give them a red card. That's what's going on. It's not incompetence. It is bias. And I'm hoping, I told you this 2 weeks ago, last week, I'm hoping it is bias. I'm hoping it's not fraud. I've said this and I'll continue to say it. I'm hoping it is bias. Because this seems like you don't like Arsenal. Arteta, since he came on board, 18 Arsenal players have been sent off. Guess who's next? 7. We don't play. The next team had 7 people sent off. That's a 9-player difference. And you can't tell me Arsenal is the most indisciplined team in the EPL. That's not true. But when it comes to Arsenal, the letter of the law, you're looking for an excuse to send Arsenal off. I've seen people getting sent off for imaginary tackles that didn't happen. 3 seasons ago, Granit Xhaka tackled air, and you sent him off. Whereas Kovacic tackled somebody, studs up to their knee, to their ankle, twice in a game, and you're saying, you don't want to affect the game. Akin, this is not incompetence, it is bias. Let's call it a spade a spade. I rest my case.
Did you just say 18 minus 7 is 9? Are you okay?
Oh, sorry. 18 minus. You see what these people have turned me to.
So,
guys, I had A1 in math in school. Don't mind me.
People who don't know, Yinka is one of the best math students I've ever met in my life. It just comes naturally to him, so he must be really fired up.
I'm really pissed off, man.
If he's doing, your boys won't let you get away with this one. If he's doing 18 minus 7 equals 9. Okay, so I am going to be the voice of calm and the voice of reason, and I'm gonna ignore the referees and just talk about the game. That's just me. That's that. So I will bring that counterbalance to this discussion.
Please go ahead.
So I told you Arsenal had to go to the Etihad and win. It's just that simple. Again, boxing is how I frame my sports watching experience because it was my first sport, right? So in boxing, they always say you got to knock out the champion. You can't outpoint the champion, right? Because guess what? All the refs will give every 50-50 or sometimes even 65-35 will give it to the champion. We are not the champion. We haven't been the champion in 20 years, right? You got to go get it, Inka. You got to go get it. So the number one thing that must stop today, no more silly fouls, okay? Even the first yellow from Trossard was lazy. That was a lazy tackle. It did not have to be done. It was a professional foul that came out of laziness. Go for it. Go for it.
Akin, I agree with you, but that foul or those kind of fouls are not unique to Arsenal only.
I know. But Trossard had a bad game. Trossard had a bad game. I get that. It was lazy today.
But there were fouls too on the other side of people pulling.
I
All
know.
I'm asking for is a level playing field. I'm not asking for too much.
You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it, Yinka.
Oh,
so Arsenal have a decision to make. Do you want to win the title or do you want to bitch? Make up your mind. Because there's no level playing field. Okay? If there was a level playing field, Nottingham Forest was punished, Leicester were punished, Everton were punished, City have 115 charges, and they're still playing. So don't wait for an official to save you. Which official? They're all facsimiles of each other. They all come from the same area. They're all white. In a multicultural country like England.
Yeah.
They won't even let non-white people get into the game. Come on now. So don't expect anything from officials, Yinka. So you cannot show up to the Etihad. Yinka, 1 second. Just hold on. Think about it this way. You said it last week. We said it last week. City were home on Wednesday in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal were on the road in a different country on Thursday in the Champions League.
Yeah.
They asked Pep about this. He had nothing to say about Arsenal. He didn't want to do. But once they asked him about advantage or disadvantage, then he had a lot to say. Oh, I can give you many, many examples of all the times we had a disadvantage, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, now you have something to say? So, Yinka, everybody's in. Look, everybody's in on this. You have to go punch the champion in the mouth. I am sick of excuses. Okay? Declan Rice, that should not have happened. That was bias. That was incompetence. That was everything. Today, it was bias. It was incompetence. It was all of that. Don't care. Be better than City. That is the remit. The remit is you need to go be better than City. And today, Arsenal showed they can be better than City. So what needs to happen now, Yinka? City are 2 points ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 points ahead. If Arsenal had won today, they were 30 seconds from winning today. If they had won today, they would have gone 1 point up on City, right? So what you need to do now, the return leg next year in London is a must win.
Yeah.
Is a must win. Okay? Is a must win. So you need to win that and you need to match all their other results and you're champions. Because Liverpool cannot, they can't outlast City. They can't outlast,
don't write them off. Don't write them off.
No, Yinka, let's talk. There's levels to this thing. Liverpool, the real God action that Arsenal put up today, nobody else can do it. Nobody.
But at the same time, the refs will probably not F Liverpool over like they just did.
I know, but they've done it before for Liverpool as well. But Yinka,
yeah, they have. Yeah, that's true. Actually,
I think
I take that back.
Liverpool are contenders. Okay, but
I take that back.
One team does not lose at home. One team cannot lose on the road. Those are the two teams that will contest for this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been, I think, November 2022 was the last time they lost at at home to Brentford.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Arsenal cannot be beat on the road, even with a man down, even playing against the referee and VAR. That at this point, that's just the reality, even
That's
without
the
their
reality.
captain. So the reality, I think Arsenal fans are so chicken, they can't even admit that their team is good. Your team is good. Your team is excellent. You know, your team has a historic defense. You know, walk in your power and just go beat this team and stop being chickens. I'm sick of it. You know, I'm tired of hearing about the referees. They will continue to F Arsenal over. Get ready for it. Doesn't matter. Do well anyway. Be better anyway. And Arsenal is doing it. They improved their goalkeeper position. This time last year, Kivior would have been the left back. Now it's Calafiore. You know what I'm saying? This time last year, we had one Ben White. Now we have one Ben White and a Urian Timber. You know, this time last year, we would be dying if Odegaard went out. We're still dying with Odegaard out. So, bad example. But my point is, just be better. You know, there is doubt in these guys. Rodri went out. We didn't talk about that. They punched Rodri in the mouth twice. They bullied the bully, Kai Havertz and Partey.
But I can time out. That Rodri incident, to be fair, Rodri baited Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz was running straight, and Rodri jumped in front of him, right, waiting, because he knows the refs are always looking. They know already.
With the first play of the game.
I'm disappointed.
And it went to VAR. It should never have gone to VAR.
It should never have gone to VAR. God bless you. And I'm like, these guys are actually considering this. Is this what we're doing now? But I agree with you, Akin. And I'll hand over back to you now. I agree with you. And I think you are absolutely spot on, right? And I think that's where I've gotten to also, right? It's just that, you know me and refs, we are like, right? Because after the game, if you noticed, right, the Arsenal players felt very, very angry because they thought we should have won that.
Yeah.
And Arteta, also in his interview, when they asked him about the trust side, he said, "What do you want me to say? I ain't got anything to say. You have the footage. Whatever you conclude, you conclude. That's not my business." I love that mentality. Now go take this anger for the next 3 home games that you have. Go beat the living hell out of Leicester, out of Southampton, right? Don't drop points and just wait. Wait for City when they come in February to the Emirates and flog their behinds.
You have to.
Flog their behinds, right? And I think that is where it's getting to now, because these guys are, it's like you're going into a battle and you expect a fair fight. And you were not expecting somebody to be dubious. Now the bout happens and the first time they were dubious. They're like, "Guy, what's your problem?" Then the second time, the same thing, you're like, "Oh, okay. So this is how it is." Okay, no problem. So that means I'll come into games now with the mindset, right, that you guys will be dubious. You guys will be against me. And I'm going to factor you into my game plan. And between you, the dubious refs, everybody will smash all of you together. That's what you're saying. And I 1,000% agree with you.
You know, you got to punch.
1,000% agree with you.
You can't outpoint the champion, Yinka. And this is not any ordinary champion. This is a 4-time back-to-back winner. This is Pep, who has won everywhere he's been. This is Pep, who is a better coach than Arteta. And Arteta may be one of the greats in the making, but Pep is the greatest, or at least in the top 5 that England has ever seen, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
In the top 5 that Spain has ever seen. In the top 5 that Germany has ever seen. Those are the places where he's coached. Pep is a historic figure in the coaching category. You know, everyone does false 9 now. Was anyone playing false 9 before Pep? You know, Pep with one real defender had a team finish with 18 goals conceded, Yinka, in La Liga. 18 goals. And if you look back at the years he spent, which other defender did he have that knew how to defend? He had one that knew how to defend. But he designed a system that only conceded 18 goals in 36 games. 38 games.
Pep na Ebola. Is not a normal guy. You know what I'm saying? So anyone who thought, oh, Pep got punched in the mouth is gonna go cry in the corner now. They've not been watching. His team is going to be resilient. His team are going to be bullies. But he said something in the press conference before the game that resonated with me. When they asked him about the Arsenal defense. And he's like, they're good, but they're also bigger than us. And that resonated because I'm like, you said Arteta was playing chess. Arteta is literally building a team just to beat City.
Yep.
So that's why everybody in the back line is a giant.
It's a giant. And Merino that will have joined is 6'4",
will be
6'5".
a giant.
Another giant.
Will be a giant. And Yinka, David Raya should enjoy right now because the day a tall David Raya becomes available, David Raya is going to the bench. He's going to the bench because that ruthlessness which Henry has talked about in Pep is in Arteta as well.
Yeah.
You know, if Arteta can improve Saka today, Saka is gone. It will be on the bench the very next day.
Yeah.
Okay. If Nico Williams comes to Arsenal, bye Martinelli. Nobody cares. You know, I said it last week that the reason we're where we are today is Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus is now playing less than he played at City.
Yep.
And he is single-handedly the man who took us from 23 points down to 5 points down against City. It's 1,000% on him. He was the soul of the team. He was the everything of the team. He was the guy who led the pressing up front. He was the guy, because guess who he replaced? He replaced Lacazette, who could not run. Lacazette was 30 yards behind every attacking play. And then Gabriel came and closed that gap. He turned the team around. And now he's playing less, Yinka, than he played at City. And he left City because it wasn't. You saw he tried to fight Haaland today.
Yeah.
At the whistle.
At the whistle.
So, and then there were 3 consecutive times that he led the defense today.
Yeah. That he bullied Foden off the ball.
Yeah, he made a tackle. He guided, you know, he was intelligent, all of that. I mean, that's coaching, Yinka. This man is mad that he wasn't playing for City. He comes to you 2 years later, he's not playing for you. You put him out there and he's putting his body on the line for you.
Yeah. It says a lot about the leader who's coaching him and a lot about the player himself.
Exactly.
I tell you, people work for people. People don't work for clubs or the firm or organizations. Yeah. People work for people. Yeah. And talking about him and Haaland having that spat, when City equalized, Haaland picked up the ball and threw the ball at Saliba's head. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Go watch the goal again.
Wow.
After they score, he picked the ball. Saliba had his jersey over his face, so he didn't know. The ball, someone threw the ball and he just thought the ball hit him. Haaland picked up the ball and knocked it on his head.
Wow, I didn't see that. And
so that was part of the things. There was nothing. There was no card. There was nothing. That was part of the thing that led to the spat that, you know, and they're like, you know, and Haaland should be careful, right? I know you have the might of the whatever in your favor. Yeah, you have all that in your favor. He should be humble, dude. Be humble, frankly. He did something against Inter Milan after the game. He was talking to Acerbi that was like, "You've been tugging on my shirt all day. Do you want my shirt?" You know. You didn't see that?
No, I kind of like it.
He did.
I kind of like it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing Ronaldo would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing Ronaldo would do.
Come on, man. But
so you're saying he's feeling himself.
He's beginning to feel himself, right? He's putting his money where his mouth is, so he can feel himself.
It's justified, Yinka. This man.
I get it.
So he had the record, right, for most goals scored in the first 4 games of the season. Now he has the record he's breaking his own record for the most games scored in the first 5 games. Most goals scored, rather. And now he scored 100 for City, but more than that, Yinka, in the Premier League alone, he scored more goals than games played.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's now at 73 in 71 Premier League games.
Yep.
And again, we used to think 1 and 2 was amazing. Now he's scoring more than 1 and 1. You know?
Well, you see, it goes back to style of play. Goes back to how teams play. The same Haaland, put him in the Norwegian national team.
They don't qualify for anything.
Even though he has a Martin Odegaard behind him. But so this is why when people say, oh, Haaland, I'm like, you should, give Haaland his flowers, but at the same time, give that whole City team their flowers.
Yeah.
They play to his strength. They know the way he plays and they play to his strength. Yeah. But overall, Akin, that first half was perfection in terms of advertisement for Premier League football. Right? You could see it had everything. You could see Nicolas Jova, that set piece coach for Arsenal. He should get a raise almost every season. They knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't a fluke. They knew exactly what they were doing. And now, somebody said, I read it on Twitter, someone said, Arteta is like showing different facets of his team. They can pack the bus if they choose to, right? They can press like a Liverpool team that Klopp put together, and they can out-City if they choose to. So they have multiple identities, and they can play multiple ways. So I agree with you, right? It's unfortunate this is where this is the situation that Arsenal find themselves in. But you're right. You have to just play what's in front of you. If it includes the VAR, the refs, whoever it includes, you need to face them and you need to punch them in the mouth. Yeah. And after you won the league, throw the middle finger at them, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. So I think I would wrap up my part of this way. Arsenal has major injuries, and you can still argue the team facing the team that faced City on the road today were better than the team that went to City last year.
Yep.
And managed to get a draw.
I totally agree.
I think I hate social media so much. The chatter back then was Arsenal was scared and should have gone for the win. Nobody said City, the champions, should have won at home, which is kind of crazy. If you're facing this timid team, why didn't you win? Why didn't you score? It was a goalless draw.
Akin, you know this already.
Yeah.
You know this already. The fans of the other clubs will tell you we hate Arsenal fans, we dislike Arsenal. Someone will even say, oh, their fans are this, their fans are that. That's why everybody does, right? The whole establishment, even the press. I watched Michael Richards almost fight, what's his name? Rob Keane. What's his name? Roy Keane today. Roy Keane
today.
Really? When he said Saliba and Gabriel, right, had a fantastic game to hold City for almost 45 minutes, and they could only score one fluke goal at the end of the day. Roy Keane said, is that not what they should have done? Shouldn't they have? And I'm like,
forget Roy Keane. It's just a curmudgeonly fella. It's just the man has no joy. He's never had joy as a player, as a commentator.
Yeah.
I think if he tried to coach, it would be the worst thing that ever happened in the history of football.
In Sunderland. He was fired.
Of course he was fired.
Of course he was fired.
You think Roy Keane can improve anybody? No.
Nobody. He can't even improve himself. But I think we should wrap this up on your point. And you've said a lot of fantastic things. This might be the best thing that's come out of your mouth, right?
I'll take the backhanded compliments.
You just need to go bash. I think you've convinced me, right? Henceforth, I'm not even going to talk about refs anymore. I'm not even going to talk about the injustice anymore, because right now you've convinced me it should be in Arsenal's psyche that this is always going to be there. So
Yeah.
be better, right?
Yeah.
You have to be pristine. No mistakes. If you make a mistake, overcome it and still get the results. That's what it is
Yeah.
at this point. Yeah.
And honestly, Yinka, and that could mean get a striker in January. Stop trying to do this the hard way. You know? So, Yinka, Bayern Munich is a bigger club than Arsenal, right? I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Didn't they bring in Choupo-Moting one season?
Yeah.
Half a season? And
Yes,
then he
they
stayed
did.
through. You might need to get somebody like that.
Yeah.
Who may not be prolific, but in the smaller games, he knows how to occupy center backs. He knows how to make, center forward movements. Bigger clubs than you do this all the time. An emergency auxiliary number 9. Maybe that's what Arsenal needs to do instead of saying, "Oh, I can only buy someone if they're much better than everyone else I have." But all your backup players are not better than anyone else out there. That's crazy. There are players on City that are not great. You know what I'm saying? But they play anyway. So what are we talking about?
I do.
So it may include having to do that, in January. That may be how you win the league. There's no world-class number 9 coming to save the day. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
You may need to go get your own version of Choupo-Moting.
Okay. Well said.
On that note.
Absolutely spot on.
Yinka.
Yes, sir.
On that note, take us home.
Nah, you told me not to talk about ref, so no donkey of the week.
Okay, no donkey of the week.
I don't need to say more than that.
We'll read your mind and we assume you
know where I'm going to.
It was Michael Oliver and his employers.
Absolutely. By the way, Ravens.
I'm looking at it. Ravens, yeah. So since they gave Dak $60 million a year, they've been blown out. They're about to be blown out the second time at home. Last week was at home as well. So this is very interesting to me.
Derrick Henry just treated them like kids, like small boys. Right now,
you saw how he pushed the other guy. I saw it. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, guys. That's our session for this week. We're giving you back like 25-30 minutes of your time. Akin, we said we won't do the usual this time around. I guess we tried.
Yeah,
we tried. I like this new format, by the way. I think we should keep
let's
it.
do it.
Let's do it. Once again, guys, thank you very much for your support. Still on track for 1,000. We're not there yet, so we need all your support. But please watch our videos, like, subscribe, tell your friends about us, send in your questions, and we look forward to taking those questions and talking about them. Akin, guess that's it from my end.
Thank you, everyone. Can't wait to do it again next week. And have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next week.